and Manly were going at each other. Let's get this. You should get this, or you should get that.
Yeah.
But at the end, I actually can't afford to buy anything because I'll be broke for until next payday.
Let's just change a few things. Okay. So, give us your name, your age, where you're from.
Cool. So, I'm Frankie. I'm 24. I'm from Italy, but I moved here in New Zealand in 2010. I'm actually half Kiwi, half Italian. My mother's from New Zealand, so that's why I moved back. And I've been collecting for around 10 to 15 years, I think. Even when I was little, I always used to display all my toys, my favorite toys, on my shelves.
Yeah.
So I guess that could be stated as when I started collecting.
So
Not seriously, but
how young were you? Like, what's your youngest age of recollection?
so I guess I could say I started collecting when I started buying model kits, especially Gundam model kits, because I actually used to display them and collect my favorite ones. So probably around 12 years old.
Who got you into it?
Well, I got into those specific model kits on my own by watching the TV show back in the day. But model kits were something my grandfather used to do, and I think I kind of picked it up from him as well. Actually, back in Italy, lots of people didn't actually understand it. It's like, why are you buying these things and just not going out like the normal kids?
Yeah.
And I felt a bit, weirded out, but yeah, I was pretty much, I wouldn't say one of a kind, but it was mostly an uncommon thing back there. Back here in New Zealand, on the other hand, there's lots of people who get it, so it's much better to be here than back in Italy for this particular hobby.
Yeah.
Okay, so I collect quite a number of things. I collect Gundam models, which are made from Bandai. I collect Transformers, which are made by Hasbro, who also makes Magic the Gathering, and Dungeons and Dragons, which are other favorites of mine, and Lego. So, and then odd bits and pieces that I just appreciate as standalone. So this is a bit of not thing but a bonus collection that I never really think too much of. So these are some cans, especially that have been collected over time. So I wasn't originally into collecting cans, except that I found these three at the shop, and were particularly amusing because this one features Che Guevara on it. This one is just Rasta Blaster, and this one is just a dubious looking girl teaching, and from then on I started getting odd tins. You have to read it though.
What does it say?
It says, "No, speak out loud and proud in your best blonde Swedish voice. Hello, my name is Miss Benson and I come from Sweden. I love to do that spanky with my big wooden cane, especially on all you naughty little boys. The after school detention is my favorite, as if I catch the boys playing peekaboo at my peaky bits, then they get a good spanky on their booty. And this is, I shit you not, what is printed on this can. That's why I had to buy this, because it's amusing as hell. This expired in 2012, man. I had this for a number of years. I probably could still drink it, but in all fairness, I just wanted it for the can. Like, what was this? Rasta Blaster, the Ganja Master. Man, what the shit? Like, me name is Rasta Blaster, and I been traveling around the world. Went to America, met a man named Tiger, or play a game called golf. Introduced me to a porn star he knew well. She really loved... Fuck, I can't even read it, like... This is weird. These are, as I said, these have been bought mostly for weird reasons. Big Cock is passionately formulated to arouse you into a heightened state of stimulation. Big Cock gives you a solid energy thrust, longer and harder than standard energy drinks. Satisfaction guaranteed. Once you had Big Cock, you won't go back.
That's awesome. Oh, good catch.
Okay, so I've realized over time that one thing that most of the things I buy have in common is that they have some sort of technical side to it. So, or, for example, I enjoy Transformers. I enjoy it because they're action figures. We could just say that action figures is one of my favorite kinds of toys or items to buy. But I realized that I really like Transformers because they are three toys in one. They're an action figure, they are usually a vehicle, and then they're also a puzzle. So they're three toys in one. And the puzzle part is particularly interesting because there is engineering required to transform or to have a toy that is a vehicle like a car and turn it into something possible like a robot. And I always like that about Transformers, and that kind of and that's probably the same reason why I like Legos as well, because there's a technical and engineering part of Legos where you can just have these simple bricks, simple pieces, but combined together in certain ways, they can give you complicated things like, for example, the ship, which is composed of around 500 pieces that are really simple, like this one. But then when you combine them together in specific ways, they can give you fairly complicated items. Yeah, this is the kind of engineering that I do enjoy out of the especially Lego pieces where they can do these cool little features that implement just aesthetics and mechanics, because at the end you have bricks, but you also have lots of hinges and other stuff in Legos that you can use for many different things. You can even have motorized vehicles. I've seen people on YouTube actually making motorized remote control tanks that can actually shoot pieces out of the turret, which is really amazing to me. That's the kind of engineering that I think is the peak of what a creative person can do, which is why I really appreciate Lego as a toy even for adults. I think that lots of people nowadays just look at adults who collect toys as still a bit of a weird thing, but I think lots of people don't realize that there's more to toys than just something for kids. People can find lots of meanings in them. Appreciating just the effort that went from the designers to actually create these items, and that I think is a really nice, a beautiful thing.
So it's kind of like an art form, a modern art form.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's lots of things that I mean, I'm not an art major. For me it's very hard to understand art, but I think that when you have these kind of things where there is creativity involved, and maybe there's not a message in it, but there is something, you're still giving an experience to someone, like either through, like for Legos, through the building process and their final item being completed and enjoying it as a toy, but there is always something that you're giving to these people. And I think that one of the reasons why art is one of the main purpose of art is to deliver an emotion to people or deliver some feelings to it. So yeah, I think you could say that that's a form of art. Yes, I mean, it does help that also nerdy cultures in general is somewhat mainstream now. You could say stuff like the Big Bang Theory, as much as some people actually don't appreciate that. You have to give it the fact that they kind of introduce nerds into a more comical and more mainstream sort of thing, where people actually now call themselves nerds or geeks. So because actually there's a difference there, they call themselves geeks, and just because it sounds cool or everything, well, it's not actually it. And the thing is, not like there's, I wouldn't say there is something to be proud of. It's just like, it's, if you have those hobbies, there is no way you have to be categorized into something else. I mean, technically you shouldn't be ashamed of it either. Like, sometimes, I mean, you might feel a bit that way because that's what the impression that people give to you, that you should, that's not something normal. But I don't think you should be ashamed for the hobbies or the interests you have, no matter, really what they are. And but it has really helped that now it's more mainstream. It's much more accepted than it used to be to watch animes, cartoons, collect comic books, action figures. It's much more acceptable than it used to be. So that is a good improvement over the past few years.
If you had, like, let's say, for example, a kid, do you think you'd get him into the same things or you just let him do whatever he wants?
I would certainly like for him to enjoy the same things I'm into, because I could rewatch my old shows that I watched during my childhood, and sit down with him and rewatch them, and he can understand, and he can watch what I used to watch at his age. Or for example, stuff like Legos, old Lego kits. You can always have your kids enjoy them as well. or some Transformers or not. It's stuff that your kids could enjoy as well, for what they were creating original intent of just being for kids. Then of course there will be like collector stuff. Then you said no, this is daddy's kids. That is daddy's toys. It's not for you. Yeah, I like how it says here. This book reads from right to left. I think this picture is fucking amazing. I just like that they're robots slash band slash knights. And this is a special cover. This is the back cover of the album Pilgrim of Eric Clapton from '98. Which, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure who contacted the other one first. So this is one of my favorite generals cards of all time in Magic, Mickey's.
Yes.
So when I started Magic, you usually get asked what's your favorite color, what's the first thing you like to do, and I said black. And my favorite creature type when I started was zombies. So I really knew I wanted to make a zombie deck, and originally it was much different from this until I found this good friend of mine, which is Mickey's, which is now one of my favorite generals of all time. There is nothing this motherfucker can't do.
And do you enjoy buying things online more than hunting for them in the stores? What's the experience?
No, actually, the one thing I like about physical stores is actually hunting down the toys is actually that you're after is actually part of the fun. Like when you can just go online and with 2 clicks you can just get the toys you want and just have to wait for them to be delivered. While there is that thrill of knowing that something you want is about to get delivered at your door, it's always nice to be at the store, look something and find something you like and buying it. And if you already know what you want to buy, but you just don't find it in one store or two, and then you actually have to go around. I think the thrill of actually hunting it down is also part of what. It's actually a really important part, I think, of being a collector. Actually going and hunting things down. I've done that quite a few times for pieces that I really wanted, and sometimes the thrill of trying to get something is it's maybe even more enjoyable than having that item itself. So I think it's actually a really important part of being a collector. But if you really, I think the best sources, unfortunately, are online, and the two that I would like to name are Big Bad Toy Store, which has got it's got a pretty big range of action figures in particular, and another one that I really I appreciated over time was Hobby Link Japan, which is, as the name suggests, based in Japan. And I bought from them a few times. Unfortunately, one time I purchased a bit too much and got charged extra fees for taxes and but they're really good stores for what they sell. I mean, Hobby Link Japan is good for Japanese produced items, like especially model kits or figures that come from Japan. Hobby Link Japan is probably better for action figures, Transformers, and other other collectibles.
What about the local stores? What would you sort of recommend for some?
I like Toyco. They have a good range of things. Mighty Ape also has a bit of a choice of products that span a bit of everything as well. They also have adult collectibles as well, which is good. It's the best choice, and because afterwards the only thing you can do is either eBay or, as I said, Hobby Link Japan or Big Bad Toy Store.
Why don't you think there are a lot of I don't really see a lot of girl collectors. Why is that? Is it just like a male thing to be collecting stuff?
Well, I don't know. I think for the longest time it's been stereotyped that collecting these kind of action figures, geeky stuff, it's mostly a male thing. And that's probably because these were things that were catered towards males to begin with. So maybe the opposite sex didn't particularly feel attracted to it because it wasn't catered towards them. It also doesn't happen that sometimes these things portray images of women that are not necessarily appreciated by the other sex. Maybe sometimes it feels a bit objectified and whatnot. Like always females had like a bit more scantily dressed or less dressed than their male counterparts. And maybe that just feels like, that's kind of not misogynistic, but kind of portraying an image of woman that is just like a sex object and that might not be appreciated.
Is it important for you to find a girl who is like-minded like you, or is that sort of like a unicorn thing? You know what I mean? Like it's a mythical thing for girls to have
I
same
think.
similar likes as you.
Okay, so I actually was dealt with this a long time. I've got people asking me if I would just want to, if the girl of my dreams would just be someone who's into magic or D&D or the same hobbies as I have, and I don't think it's a necessary thing at all. I mean, it's a plus. I mean, it will be it's a dream. The dream thing is meeting someone who is into the same hobbies as you are, and is maybe even through those hobbies. But it's not a must. Like, I don't think that you have to, with a person, you have to share every single aspect that, I could just meet somebody who, as long as they understand what my passions are and then respect them, for me it's fine. Personally, I don't think they have to share them as well. I do not believe that you only have to go after the unicorn, but if the unicorn happens to show up, well, I mean, why miss the chance, right?
Fucking unicorns.
And that's how it stopped.
Yeah.
Fucking unicorns,
Fucking
man.
unicorns. They don't exist.
I think it's a hobby of mine that, in a way or the other, I would always collect something. The thing is, my interests have changed over time, though my old interests are still there somehow. Like, I switched from, I said, Gundams to Transformers, Magic, now Legos. It's probably gonna evolve again, and maybe I won't pay so much attention to them and find something different. But I think that, no, but nonetheless, even though I've shifted over time, I still can't somewhat pay attention to the previous ones, and every now and then I still purchase something from the other hobbies. It's just that my priorities change, and again, I cannot foresee the future. So if anything happens, I might have to stop collecting, in the way I'm doing now. But maybe I will still do it in different forms. It was interesting because when I was young and I was like 10, sorry, 12, 15, so I was such like that, and I was still buying Gundam when I started buying Gundam models, or still, you know, played with Legos or played with my action figures and posing them. And I remember every now and then my parents used to get a bit annoyed at me and says, do you know, want to keep grow up a bit? Do you want to grow up a bit, or do you really want to keep going? Do you, like, at 15 or 18, 20, and still, play with toys or collect these things? And I kind of was making me feeling a bit bad, but in my mind I said, well, no, I would say in my head, and then maybe. And then they said, because I honestly I didn't feel too guilty. Sure, the peer pressure of people looking you in and looking at, like, you still play with toys, but still you appreciating with them, that there was that a mixed feelings. I was like, I still enjoying having them and playing with them or posing them or whatever, but at the same time the peer pressure sometimes, or the pressure from other people, made you feel guilty. And over time I got over that, and I said, like, well, I mean, especially after finding people who are share the same interests, is like, well, other people are into this as well. It's not as bad. It's not that bad after all. So I think I could easily see myself in 10 years, 15 years time still collecting, maybe different things, but still collecting something overall, because it's an interesting hobby. It's a passion, and I don't think there is anything at all in having a hobby of collecting anything, like stamps, cars if you can afford it, or anything. It's like, it's a hobby like another, and I don't think anybody should feel guilty, or should just feel guilty, or sad or frustrated for having a hobby that some other people don't understand. So collect what you like.